Hello, my name is Mr. Cause. I'm the Deputy Faculty Leader here in Science at Cotham School, and this is just a information video for Year 11 parents, just to kind of highlight some key things around GCSE Science, how the course is run, and the sort of assessments that will be going on throughout the year. So, kind of as a summary of what science is, this is some information around what we study, and we can separate it down into biology, chemistry, and physics. So biology being the study of living organisms, chemistry being the study of matter, and physics being the kind of the nature and properties of matter and energy. So we often kind of teach each discipline separately, but all teachers are able to teach each discipline up to GCSE level. In terms of the courses we offer, at Cotham for Science GCSE, we have the separate science course, and this is comprised of 4 different classes, and the students will receive 3 GCSEs, 1 in physics, 1 in chemistry, and 1 in biology. As with the all science courses, there will be required practicals which students will complete as part of their course, and these will be assessed in exams rather than as coursework. Students will do 2 exams per GCSE, so 6 in total, and those exams will be an hour and 3/4 each, and a total of 100 marks. The 6 papers that students do are summarised on the right-hand side there, and the different content that forms part of those papers also highlighted. So there is equal amounts of physics, chemistry, and biology, and a GCSE for each one. That's as opposed to the combined science course. Now, the combined science course is again split into 4 different classes, but this time, instead of 3 GCSEs, 1 per science discipline, there will be 2 GCSEs, which is a combination of all 3 sciences. So you still do a mixture of physics, chemistry, and biology, but those will give you a combination of 2 science GCSE grades. As with separate science, there are required practicals that need to be done, and as with separate science, there are 6 different exams. However, those 6 exams are only an hour and a quarter, and as it says at the bottom there, all 3 sciences will contribute to the 2 grades that the student gets at GCSE. Now, there is 2 different tiers in science, so we have a foundation tier and a higher tier. At foundation tier, students can get anything from a grade 1 up to a grade 5, and higher tier students can get anything from a grade 3 all the way up to a grade 9. Tier entries are not finally decided. There's no final decision on tier entries until March of year 11. So there is a long way through the course until the final decision about which tier you're going to be entered for is decided. All lessons at Science GCSE take place on the Cotham main site. We have textbooks that accompany our teaching to support students with concepts in the course. Our science classrooms all look the same. They are split into a kind of a teaching and writing area, as well as a practical area for experiments to be carried out. So the classroom looks something like this, where we have seating and an interactive whiteboard for students to kind of summarize their learning and work through questions and go through content delivered by the teacher. And also a lab space area on the other side where students can complete their practicals safely and in a controlled environment. In terms of how we deliver the course, there is obviously the teaching that goes on, which is a mixture of kind of taught material and taught content as with practical in the laboratory. There is independent learning, and they take the form of online quizzes and through different platforms. So that might be Seneca, GCSE Pod, and other websites that we use to kind of make sure students are keeping up with their learning independently. There are, within each lesson, we are kind of assessing students' recall, so making sure that they can remember learning that they've learned in previous lessons. Extended writing, making sure they can answer longer writing questions. And we do lots of past papers in the forms of mocks and in-class assessments throughout the year. Required practicals, these are done in the laboratory. They are done by all students, and they will be assessed, but they will be assessed in exams. And the sorts of things you might be asked to do are write a method of steps that were carried out, consider safeties and risks with particular experiments, draw graphs for the results of an experiment, state variables that were controlled or changed or measured in an experiment, and also particular calculations that might be associated with a particular experiment. In terms of kind of support, there are lots of online support that we have. Caboodle is an online website which students have a login for. They can access lots of different resources. They can access the online version of the textbook that we use in class, which can be helpful for revision. And also we use Seneca, which is used to as part of the home learning, and also students can use to kind of help them revise for different parts of the course. In terms of kind of extra support for revision, we sell through WisePay CGP revision guides, which kind of summarize the learning and summarize the content that needs to be learned throughout the course quite nicely. We don't sell them through school, but the CGP revision cards are also quite a nice thing for students to support their revision with. Thanks very much for listening, and please do get in contact with the department if you've got any further questions. Thank you.